Well, welcome everybody to Inspired Conversations podcast show. I am your host, Kim Evans. I'm the owner of Two Gorgeous Integrated Health and Wellness. I'm also a business and holistic wellness coach. And welcome to KME Coaching. You guys, I have a very wonderful guest this evening, and actually, we're doing a part two. And today we have back on the show Mr. Lawrence D. Adams. Lawrence, welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. Pleasure to be here and to share what we want to share today. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, it's gonna be good because we kind of like just added some energy in the earth realm and the airways from podcast, the first one. And
Yes.
I asked Mr. Lawrence, I said, Lawrence, we got to come back. We got a lot of rave reviews from the first one. We just had to continue the conversation. But before we get into that, you all know, podcast listeners and viewers, how I do it. Mr. Adams, I always love to strike up some energy. Can we strike up some holy energy in the podcast show? All right, you guys, y'all know how I do it. I just wanted to say a brief prayer. I want to just invite the Holy One in. God, we just want to just first of all give you honor for being omnipotent and just being amazing. Take full reign of this podcast show. And Lord, we just want your voice to be heard through our voices, your words, and the people who are listening to this podcast, as far as the East, as far as the West, as far as the North, as far as the South, and all the continents, be inspired, illuminated, transformed. And maybe they take one gem and they can apply strategy to their lives to make themselves and their lives better. God, continue to bless this voice, Mr. Lawrence. May his mission be powerful throughout the earth realm that you created him to be. And God, please continue to bless my voice, because without me, without you, Lord, without you, I am nothing. Thank you. Mr. Lawrence, we're going to get into this.
Yes,
All
yes.
right, like they say, straight no chaser, right? We're gonna get into this. We're gonna get all the way real quick. Let me just start with a little bit about your background for people who did not have an opportunity to catch episode 46. Is that okay?
Sounds good.
All right, we're gonna get right into it. Okay, I am excited here. And let me just get in my notes here. All right. Mr. Lawrence is an author, a podcaster, motivational speaker, music composer. Lawrence currently hosts a weekly podcast show, The Thinking Class. You all need to go to his YouTube channel. His YouTube channel is Lawrence D. Adams. It's his name. Put it in. I want you guys to get probably the last 5 episodes because his YouTube is on fire. And what I love about it is called The Thinking Class. And his motto is where spirituality and the game combines, then you have what we call the thinking class. So that's the name of his podcast show. The podcast helps men in dealing with masculinity, relationships, purpose. He's also known for his uncanny ability to get people to think at a higher level of thought. And that's what with spirituality, what we're supposed to do is to learn how to think bigger and better. Right? He is the author of several books and audio books, The Secret Invisible Crown. You all can buy that book. It's in my actually, it's listed in my Amazon store. And I'm going to put the link again. So afterwards, you guys could go and purchase his book. He has 2 loving sons, one currently in the military, and the other second son is at a Ivy League college. Lawrence, take it away for us. Take it away. Take it away.
Man, what a pleasure. Wow. When I listen to that, I'm like, who is that guy? Man, that's amazing. It is amazing. And I'm like, wow. But thank you for inviting me on for this second installment of this great conversation that we had before. And I think it's going to be amazing what we're going to tiptoe right into and really help a lot of people to expand their thinking and expand who they are.
Yes. Well, I'd like to get right into it. I titled this show called The Gift. But before I do that, and we're going to flow this out. But before we get this, I'm going to go back a little bit on episode 46, and I want to start right here. This is what I really loved about what you said. A man looks for peace. And I think when he's selecting a mate, a girlfriend, but more so a mate, a wife, he is selecting someone who can bring him peace. that a man wants a piece of something, a piece of food, his serenity, and a piece of his woman, meaning to be able to have this nurturing environment of peace. Let's start right there. Why is peace so important for a man?
I think peace is so important for a man because there he's able to strategize and connect with the infinite, with God. And when he's in peace, it said peace. And then when Jesus was talking, he said, what? Peace be still, when there was storms going on. And a lot of times men are looking for that peace so they can quiet the storms around them. So peace is so vitally important for a man because then he can hear the wisdom. He can hear the right words to say. He knows how to maneuver. And also peace causes him to be in a place where his emotions are at peace, even when the storms of his wife or his whoever it is are in the storm of life. He can become her peace or her security.
Yes. Yes. So why do you think it is so challenging that women buckle with that? You would think that we would nurture that, we would foster that, because we get somewhere is why we're calling this the gift. Why is that a challenge for a lot of us women?
I think the reason why it's a lot of challenges and a lot of challenge for a lot of women, one, they have never been or groomed or placed in an environment that they know to give peace to a man.
Yes.
So what we're seeing is not the woman per se, it's the mindset of the woman and what environment she's been groomed in to realize if you give this man this peace,
yes,
the reward to what you would get from his peace would take you beyond what you can ever think, beyond your imagination. And so what happens is a lot of women have not been taught by their mothers, their sisters, their aunts, their even their uncles, or whoever it was to say, if you offer this plate of peace,
yes,
what you will receive back will be beyond what you can ask or receive. I mean, believe.
I love it. So then from a man perspective, then how does a woman do that if they've never been taught? How can a woman do that if they have not seen that in an environment? And how can a woman do that if they didn't learn it from their fathers?
Great question. I think what happens is you cannot give something that you are not.
Say it, Lawrence. Say it one more time. Yes.
You cannot give anything that you are not. So the woman outside of the man must become peace inside of her. She must become peace. When she realized that she has the gift of peace inside of her, she's able to give and is given back to her good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. When she's able to become peace. It's something when a woman walks in the room and she's in her full peace or her full femininity.
Yes.
Everything around the room begins to adjust to her what? Peace or her femininity. So a lot of times the reason why a lot of women have not walked in it because they have not realized that they can walk in peace also.
Oh, that's good. Oh man, it's about to get hot up in here. This is real good. But until women, ourselves, we women, and don't be hating. This is just a different perspective. This is all about a different perspective so that we can elevate our thinking. It isn't about no hurt mail or anything, no bad comments, y'all. It's just about let's look at a different perspective. It's very interesting, and I'm glad that you said about that. The femininity. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but more so importantly, but if you're not peaceful internal, emotionally, or mentally within yourself, then how can you bring that? And I say that to say traumas, abandonments, all these undealt with issues that had not to do with the man, that continues not to bring your own internal peace, then how can you expect as a woman to be peaceful if you haven't dealt with your own internal issues?
Yeah. Yes, that's it right there.
So it's to me, I think it's a little bit challenging because I think that's the gap where men can't really help us in that area. That's the kind of area that we have to seek help, internal guidance for our own selves. And that becomes the battleground, and that becomes the conflict.
Yep.
So my next question I'd like to ask you, we're going to get back on this piece, but when you think of the gift, who's the gift, Lawrence? Is it the woman? Is it the man in a relationship? Who is the gift?
This is the great debate of all debates. Let me give a little story behind it.
Please do. Bring it on. Go ahead on. Go ahead. You got the floor.
Let me give a little story behind it. So when my sons were younger, when we talk about gift, we think of the prize. So when my sons were, when my sons were younger, I took them to Dunkin' Donuts and I said, hey, you know, guys, I want to tell you that you are the prize. They said, oh, Daddy, we are the prize. Yes. And my oldest son said, well, Dad, I'm the prize. What happened if she say she's the prize? I said, well, you know what, son? That's a good question. I didn't think about that, but you're still the prize. So in essence, this is what happens. When we think about the gift or the prize, once you realize there is, in essence, no gender to it, it's about when you become a gift is supposed to be what? To be given. And what happens is we're in the culture where people are on the receiving and they never experience the true gift that the other person has to give them. So if I'm looking in a relationship, what you gonna get me, instead of looking what I can give, vice versa, if she's looking what you gonna get me, instead of what I'm gonna give, we miss out on the gift that we bring together.
Yes.
So it becomes not a competition who is the greatest. It's about who can bring the gift. And my gift is not the same gift that a woman has.
Yes. Speak a little bit more about that. That is excellent. Your gift is not the same as a woman's gift. We both actually operate in relationship differently. And we're not talking about roles, but yeah, we both operate differently. Speak more on that.
So what happens is we think that the gift that I have, that the other person's supposed to give the same gift that I have.
Yes.
And so what happens is we don't celebrate it. Yes. But when I realize that the gift that you have is different from my gift, what happens is I can celebrate the difference of it because it adds to my gift and I add to your gift. Mm-hmm. And so in this culture of trying to confuse everything, we forget that the woman has a strategic gift that she brings to a man.
Right.
And vice versa, the man has a strategic gift that he brings to the woman that you can't just get anywhere.
Yeah.
That she can't just give anywhere. And once you realize the gift that is there, you can celebrate her for the gift that she brings. You can celebrate him for the gifts that she brings. So it's important that we really, really digest that yes, we can say the prize or the gift, but when you realize, when you come together, we what do we do? This is a gift. Kim and I communicating. I'm on her platform, and her gift is to ask the questions. I'm now pouring my gift back to answer the question. Now it becomes like a dance.
Fluid and dynamic. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Because now we both show up in our both power. You know, we're both powerful in our own right. And I think oftentimes men tend to forget that. Women, we tend to forget that too. From a woman's perspective, we forget it because sometimes we don't know our self-worth. That's an issue. Coming to the plate in a relationship or in a marriage, and now it's a negative because you don't know your self-worth. Men who don't know their self-worth or their value might look at a woman differently, you know, in her insufficiency. But what we need to remember, if insufficiency, that's where he's sufficient. In his insufficiency, that's where you should be sufficient. And that goes back and forth. And that's a part of the gift, would you say?
Yes, it is part of the gift. Yes.
Wow. So a woman or women would look at this and say, well, men are givers and women are receivers. Okay, that may be true. Men, you know, part of is the giver, and women are the receivers, the nurturers, the fosterers. However, in that, we're still both the gift. we're still supposed to bring out the best in the other person. You're supposed to bring out the best in me. Why does that become an interference?
It becomes an interference because of selfishness and entitlement. You think that you think that you're entitled to this gift. No, my sister. No, my brother. You're not entitled to this just because you are who you are. And we have a lot of that that's going on in the streets, that people think they're entitled to something that they have not put on the boots, they have not laced up, and they have not put the work to be and to even come close to the gift. That's when you add value to it.
I love that. I love that. Now, we're going to just park that just for a moment right there. You're expecting all these goods and grains, and you haven't even put nothing into receiving. And just by fault of you being a female, you think you're entitled to it. Oh, let's talk about how do we plant the seed to the soil. Oh, my God. Oh, Lawrence, this is good. Oh, it's got to speak a little speaking points on that one. That's good.
So we have a culture. And like I said, this is no indictment against women, but we have a culture where a lot of women have a mindset that by virtue of them being a woman, that they're entitled to the protection, the provision, the profit, the teacher of the man without doing anything, by bringing just the bare minimum because virtue they're a woman. And what happens is men are waking up. They're saying, no. That sounds good. That sounds dandy. But you will be recreational, but you will never get my name.
We got to repeat that. I'm not going to go there with that. You could repeat it. I heard it.
You will be recreational, but you will never get my name. Wow. And that's where the gift is in my name. So what happens is a lot of women say, oh, yeah, I'm all of this, I'm this and that. But at the end of the day, are you a recreational or do you have his name?
What's the difference?
The difference is one is long term and the other one is short.
AKA permanent.
Yeah, permanent. Because you got the name. It's power. We think about it, what is power in the
name? Now,
the name.
Now I know everybody's probably in game, not been marriage, and I know a lot of women might get mad at me with this one, but when you dating for 50, 60, 70 years and you haven't got the man's name, there's an issue there. The game plan should be when you enter into dating and courting should be to get to the end result. The end game should be the name. If not, you're wasting your time. Why are you there? Are you there to play trumpets? Why are you there? Are you a space saver? Why are you there? When you just said it. It's going to be recreational. It's not going to be permanent. So if your end game is not a permanent game, then why are you there? Okay. That was just a side note. But we got to go back to this entitlement, ladies, that I want us both to win. So then, Lawrence, from a male perspective, what is a man looking for in a woman so he can determine that she's not recreational, that this could be a possibility of a long-term game, so that you can give her your name?
Well, let me keep it 1,010%. Every man,
yes,
whether we want to admit it or not, I see you breathing deep in that one.
Let me take it in. It.
Every man, whether from the cloth, he's a bishop to whatever he is. He is by nature a sexual creature.
Yes.
So he definitely wants that. But when a man wakes up and realizes what he wants from a woman is a woman who is cooperative, submissive, feminine, regal. I can go on for all. And he's looking for not his completion, but he's not looking for someone who can complete him. He's looking for someone who can say, hey, I see your mission. Let me get along and make it and actually take it in the oven and bake it and make it and feed 1,000 people.
I love
it. You think of You think of Coretta Scott King. She took the mission of Martin and what?
Right.
After he died and what? Got a statue up for him.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Mhm.
But a lot of times, a lot of men don't see the power of the woman that he has in front of him, and he squanders it on recreational and not pouring into the woman that can carry his name.
Wow. 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 Oh, wow. I can unpack that various ways. Let me see where I want to start with that. Oh my God. I think when you said that men don't recognize the power within a woman, a couple of things there. Number one, woman, you need to recognize our own self-value and our own self-worth. So when that man comes along that he is not recognizing the power within you, you have one or two choices. One, you can walk. Two, you can get a different option. But to sit there to receive that, if that man is not pouring back into you or kind of looking into you or the greatness that you are in, then how can you reflect back to him who he is? Right, Lawrence?
Right. Right.
So my question to you is, wow, this is really good. Before a man seeks a woman, and if he doesn't recognize the power within that woman, then how does he begin to check himself to go back into the internal? Because we all know that we all have self-internal work. So let's talk about that self-internal work, because that goes both ways. A woman needs to do her self-internal work, and a man needs to do his self-internal work. Then how do you know when you need to reflect back and say, wait a minute, let me pause. Let me do some more work in this. Let me till some more sorrow within myself.
When a man begins to go and retrospect and look at his life and say, you know what? Outside of the woman, I must have a mission or a purpose. There's no need to bring a woman into your life if you have no mission or purpose for her to come into. No woman wants to be involved with a man who is a parked car who ain't going at least down the street. So first, the man must have his purpose and his destiny, what he needs to do.
Yes.
Then he'll say, you know what? I need a help mate.
Yes.
I can't do this by myself.
Yes.
Not that he's inadequate, but he realizes he needs some things that he's unable to do. There's some doors that she can go in that I would never be able to go in. And once he realized that, he realized that what I need is an asset and not a liability. So he begins to say, what do I need to change in me? I first must become a what? Asset to her. I must become a what? Protector. I must become a what? Provider. I must become her priest. I must become her prophet. I must become her teacher. And I think what happened is, I said this earlier today, I must become her healer.
Okay. And I know a lot of women are probably holding their breath when you say that word. Let's expound that just a tad bit, her healer. And how do you mean that?
What happens is, like in the story we were saying earlier, when Jesus was in the bottom of the boat and a storm, he told the disciples go over to the next city, and the storm arose. He came up and said, peace, be still. What happens is, when you understand the makeup of a woman and her emotions, a lot of what a man can do is speak peace to the storms of her emotions, of her mind, or what's going on. He can heal areas through his masculinity that no one else can touch, with his words, with his actions, so that she's healed in the area where she may have been bruised at, say from childhood, or say from a broken relationship. So he becomes her healer. And I think a lot of times men haven't stepped in becoming. Now, let me say this, let me be very clear this ain't talking about you going around just healing every woman, brothers.
Yeah.
We're talking about that particular one. Because in the relationships, there's ups and downs and curves and ebbs and flows. So you got to know how the man needs to come and be healer to. You cannot Men don't know the power of healing the soul and the emotion of a woman, what it would do for her, how she will blossom into this beautiful flower that you can smell and take in every day.
I love that, Lawrence, that you mentioned that. It's very interesting because you've been married before, I've been married before, and we bring really good experience, life learned lessons. And when you talk about being the healer, that's because you've done the work. That's because you see yourself, right? You've experienced some things, right? Very spirit led. But then there are men out there that are not. This is interesting because you have a lot of men on the flip side that's looking for the woman to do that, to actually have this garden of peace so that they can go to when they're in a storm, so the woman can calm them down. See, because in the truth of that matter, when there is a truthfulness or there's more of a peace on that side, then the man can be what? Transparent. They can be open. The heart can be led. And then that's when you truly know the heart of your man, when he can be vulnerable. But he can only be vulnerable when that woman has dealt with her issues and she comes from a strong place. So now she's nurturing back to him emotionally and mentally, because that's that thing we talk about, peace. So I just say there's the other side of that as well when it comes to the woman. So speak to that piece.
Yeah, I think a lot of women don't realize that she is also a healer.
Thank you.
I think a lot of women don't realize that how much they are. I remember a story I heard years ago. There was this young lady who worked with guys that were recovering from drugs. And they had men counselors that would work with the guys, but somehow the guys would relapse or go back homeless, whatever the case may be. So they brought this young lady in, and she knew how to speak to the men in such a way where they got their stuff together, they came off of drugs, they got their housing, they began to walk upright because she became a healer for the men that were in a place of transition. So women, I want you to really get this. You have also responsibility to make sure you become a healing balm for the men, for that man. Because a lot of times you don't see the knives, the bruises, the things that happen at work or what happened with the car, with the kids, and you don't see, but sometimes the man needs to experience, he needs to realize, I need your healing too. There's something when a woman says, you know what, I'm looking nice. It calls a man to perk up, calls him to act right. When a woman can speak healing into the soul of a man.
Yes. I love that. And we're going to park that for a minute right there, because that's part of the gift, ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens. We're talking about the gift. We both have gifts. We are both the gift. One is not better than the other. We both are the gift as we're talking as it relates to healing. A man needs his woman, his queen, to speak into his vision, into his mission, into his inadequacies, into his sufficiencies. A man needs his queen to speak into his vision, into his mission, into his inadequacies, into his sufficiencies. And I think once we understand that, see, Lawrence, that's power. That's kingdom power. That power comes from among high. Because a man is looking for that in his woman to do that. There's no better place than pillow talk when a man can have pillow talk with his queen. There's so much transformation of energy that's given at pillow talk. When a man has that conversation with his queen. Let's talk about that.
Right. Because it's the pillow talk, it's in the bedroom, it's a place of intimacy.
Okay.
You think of intimacy on the physical level, but it's a place of intimacy where now the two hearts can beat as one. It's a place of intimacy. Now I can be transparent and be naked and not ashamed. It's a place where I pour into you and you pour into me. We wake up, we go into our deep sleep and wake up refreshed in this place of intimacy. When we realize on the pillow talk, there's so much left on the pillow talk that people neglect. They're fussing, fighting. I ain't gonna talk to you. They turn the other way. And they realize that they're carrying that in their spirit before they go to sleep. I don't want to go that far, but it's
so you know what? It's so interesting, Lord. This is so good. This is why I always like to start the show and just charge the energy with his might and his spirit, because we never know how things are going to land. This is interesting. I'm gonna bring up a quick story. I never forgot as a little girl, one of my aunts. I have beautiful, beautiful queen aunts, but this one aunt in particular, I never forget. And I heard she used to always be dropping gems, and she's still married today. And she said, you know what? Never let the sun go down on your wrath in marriage, number one. Number two, always continue to make a meal for your man. And I don't give a hoot what y'all women out here saying that y'all don't cook. Okay, good. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the women who still can put two and two together, some flour and some salt, could go in there and cook for her man, whether or not you use DoorDash and you bring it in and you take the covers off and he don't know you cooked it. It don't matter. It's just that you are providing a meal for your man because he's hungry. The third thing she said, you never, never allow fights or anything to prevent you from having sex with your man. Now let's flip that. And now my uncle used to say, I still love your aunt and I can still make love to her with the lights on. And they're still married today. I never forgot those gems. And those were gems where she was telling me about this pillow talk. When we talk about pillow talk, we're not talking about PG&E Bill did, what Sally did, what John did. We're not talking about that. We're talking about at that moment, after this beautiful exchange has happened between a man and a woman, a king and a queen, we're talking about now, can I hear your heartbeat? What is on your mind? Now, when you can see the intricacies of the chords on how this man thinks, I want to know how you think. When you know how a man thinks, oh man, women, that is so priceless. Men, when you know how a woman feels and her emotions and what drives her, that is so powerful. Come on, Lawrence, add to that. Come on, that's powerful.
We have not talked about. I don't know how we landed here, but I guess we're right here.
We here.
This right here is what people need to hear.
Yes.
Pillow talk. Or
pillow talk.
The conversations between a man and a woman. Their place of what you think about the bedroom can represent the heart or the deep part of a person. So even there, it's so important that conversation takes place, that exchange takes place. If you realize what happens, actually think so many plans and so many things happen in that pillow talk that people have no clue about. Decisions are made. Businesses are started.
Thank you.
Things are done. Why? In the place of the pillow talk or the place of intimacy, because your guards are let down. You can share your dreams without fear of somebody saying, you shouldn't be doing that. We don't got the money. It ain't the time to do it. The kid. No, it's that place where you can hear them and your heartbeat begins to beat as one. One. And I'm realizing when I'm talking about this, a lot of people's hearts are not aligned because they never had their heart. They never had pillow talk.
That's right. I love it. And you're missing the true essence of the gift between the two when you don't have that. So I want to also just add this piece to it too, ladies, and then chime in anytime too, Lawrence, is that when you're really trying to ask the advice of your king, of your beloved, one way to do it during pillow talk. And so there's a way of positioning to ask, because the reason why I say then and not when he comes to the door at 5 o'clock and you spruiting all this energy and all these things, what if Johnny has done or what's going on in life or who did what to you. But I'm saying in the instant of this of intimacy right here, then that way you get his true opinion. Dear, I'd like to start this, or this is what I would like. And I really want to know your opinion on this, or I was thinking about doing this. I'm not saying, ladies, now, okay, let me give a disclosure because then I'm going to have some bike biters here. I'm not saying to ask his permission. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you are actually getting his opinion on something. And then you go from there. Because a man wants what? Respect and love and honor. So you go to him, not saying I didn't bought the car, or I didn't bought the house, or I did this. Babe, what do you think? I just want to know what your feelings are about that. What do you feel about that, Lawrence? Pillow talk, right there. I just want your opinion. What you think? You will get his more clear, authentic honesty when you ask in that vein. I believe. What's your take on it?
You know what? When you said that, when a man's coming through the door and he's coming from work and Johnny's doing this and this, you do not have the man's full attention. He can't give it to you. So why you're it's like he's already juggling coming in from work, what he got to do, the bills, this and that. I'm hungry, I don't know what to do. I need to sit down, I need to relax. So his attention is not there. But if you get the man in the place of when his attention is focused, guess what happens? Power has to show up and things begin to happen. A lot of times ladies do it the wrong way, but you gave the right way. They got to get the man where his attention is focused. That's when he becomes dangerous, not a dangerous in a bad way, but dangerous in completing whatever you're giving his attention to. Like a lion. The way to tame a lion is what? You take a 3-legged stool and you put it in front of the lion so that his attention is diverted and you can tame him. So if you coming in while you're walking through the door and say, hey, do this and this and that, this going on, and the kid jumped out the bed and broke his arm, and his attention is not there and he can't be focused. But when a lion is in the wild and he wants something, he set his intention and his focus and he gets it. So women, you got to learn, hint, hint, how to get your man's attention so that his focus can get what the family needs.
I love that you say that you have to, it's about timing, but I'm going to also add this in a non-confrontational way.
Yes.
It's a non-confrontational way. And sometimes we as women, and I have done it in the past, ladies, I'm not perfect, non-confrontational. When we are in a non-confrontational statue, we can get so much more of what we're wanting.
Yes, yes, and yes. Because we're already fighting so much outside of the world. So we come into the house or come into our place so that we can get peace. But when we got confrontation here, we put our war clothes back on, and you may get the same war that we've been dealing with in the house.
It's amazing. Pillow talk is just, and I'm going to say it might not necessarily just be pillow talk, but that's one of the greatest places. I know a friend of mine who used to share with me his parents, their pillow talk, they would go outside and they would sit in the car. See, back in the day, depending upon where you come from, where your upbringing, you might have had a lot of kids in the house, or maybe you had other relatives that were in the house. Because I know certain cultures, have a lot of different family, and you might not have that time to do that. So what I'm saying is that your pillow talk could also be in the car, just taking a drive. And that's that same place where intimacy meets itself with the two of you is in the car as you're taking a drive. What would you say about that, Lawrence?
I think you have to be creative in this day and age. Shut your phone off.
Yes.
Take your phone, put it up.
Yes.
And find creative ways where you can get that pillow talk. If it is just a walk, I go walking all the time. So for me to go walking, that's where you good pillow talk. We can talk. I can share. I'm in nature. I can think. I'm focused. I'm relaxed. Perfect place. That's you got to find out. And that's when you learn this is good right here. You have to learn where's the good place for you and whoever you with, where they can get into the mode of the pillow talk.
Oh, that is really good. This is why my aunt always told me, don't let sun go down on your wrath. Continue to fix your man a meal, even when you don't feel like it. Because she knew positioning. what she was trying to tell me those things is, Kim, know your positioning. Even when you're mad, know your positioning. Wow, Lois, that is really good. Finding those spaces and places. And
Yeah.
it's the same. It's the same. Whatever that is that you find, it's the same. It's that same place where you meet. God meets us at a place wherever you put your altar to, that's where he's going to meet you at. That is that place of refuge. Wow, this is good.
Yes.
Now, oh my God, it's always good with you, Lawrence. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're gonna for those of you who are coming on, we're talking about the gift. Replay the tape. It's very exciting. We're not going to make this too long, but I wanted to also go back to what you were saying. The pillow talk is having our hearts be right. If our hearts is not right, I just want to just leave a gem. I always like to leave a strategy. Well, before I leave mine, I'm going to ask you the question. How do you make your heart right before you go in front of your mate when you know your heart's not right? How do you make it right?
So the only way you can make anything right is to be honest. Just simple. You know what? I don't people would be acting like they don't know. You know when you are not right and things are not. I didn't know it's like that. You know, go and be honest. Sometimes if you do not know, mate or whoever you with becomes a mirror to let you know you ain't right.
Yes.
So you got to realize one of the things a man can do is you need to take that time and say, okay, let me look at this. Let me look. Where in me do I need to make the adjustment? And then be honest with myself. I said this in one of my books. It says, be honest with yourself first, because everything else is just an illusion. Honest with yourself, because everything else is just an illusion. And when you're honest with yourself, the illusion of everything else begins to change. Perception of life begin to change when you're honest about who you are.
Okay.
And I think I'm talking to the men, a lot of you men have not been honest about where you at. And what you do is you blame instead of saying, it's me.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Now we're going to bring this to a close. I love that, Lawrence. It's me. So here it is. It's about being realigned with yourself and being authentic. Check it, men and women, because guess what? When you are authentic, you are consistent, but you can't be authentic if your heart is not right. And so, in Lawrence, what you're saying is, hey, just admit where you're wrong. That's where pillow talk can be really good, because you can't admit some of those faults, and your baby be like, oh, okay, I forgive you. It's good. It's good. But you are giving that space to yourself to examine yourself. So let's talk about real quickly as we end, keeping yourself in alignment with yourself so that you can walk in honesty and integrity. How do you do that, Lawrence?
So you asked as an individual in the context as a couple?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So in the context as a couple, what happens is your mate always becomes a mirror to share with you where you need to make the adjustments.
I love it.
It's amazing. As much as men and women don't want it, your mate will always become a mirror and be like, you got something in your eye. You might want to tilt your hat to the side. You might want to adjust your coat. Your puff ain't right over here. And it's not to put you down, but it's so that you look good because you represent them.
Oh, man.
Your mate always becomes a mirror.
That's juicy. I'm going to add to that is how you keep yourself in alignment in your heart pure. Of course, it's prayer and God.
Yes.
But I'm going to say is ask yourself every day, how are you thinking? Ask yourself, who are you? And ask yourself, how are you doing? So if you begin to have these internal conversations with yourself, for yourself, to better yourself, then that'll help you to be more honest with your heart and operating within this relationship with your mate. Before I'm going to speak to the women, I think Lawrence can speak to the men. So as women, queens, before you go to your husband and you're charging him at something or you're asking him, and I can speak this because I've been divorced And I've learned, I'm going to ask myself first, wait a minute, before I say this dumb thought, I'm not talking about me, before I say this dumb thought, am I thinking correctly before I go to him and say this? Who am I in this moment in my emotion, or am I being emotional before I go to him and present this? And what am I doing? And what is the result of the action that I'm looking for? And I think, you guys, we could probably cut out a little bit of therapy if we just ask ourselves these questions, Lawrence, before we engage in conversation with our mates. Because then guess what? It won't be so conflictual.
Right. Yes.
Your take on that?
You right. You get the right answers when you ask the right questions.
Yes.
And I think what happens is we have not been given the tools to ask the right questions to get the right answers. Yeah. So to get the right answers of where you are, what you want, what are you doing, what's going on, you have to self-examine. And like you said, I'm repeating what you said, but a lot of men self-examine. Where are you really at this? What are you afraid to tell your truth about this because you're afraid of what she's going to say or think?
Oh my
That's
God.
For somebody right there.
Oh man. Oh, repeat that again. We're gonna end the plane with that. That's some good right there. The truth. You being the truth. Say it, Lawrence. I love it.
Are you afraid to speak your truth because you're afraid of what she may think or what she do? If you say exactly what you want, you have to speak your truth. But how you speak your truth, that's important. And a lot of men, let me stop right there.
No, don't stop. Don't stop. Don't
A
stop.
lot of men have been afraid to speak their truth because they have been muted so long that they don't have a voice. And while the woman is what? Looking to hear instructions from you, but you are like a mute. You have to speak your truth. And that happens where? Pillow talk.
Hope y'all got that. I love that, Lawrence. I love what you said about speaking your truth. It's funny because I was just having a conversation a week ago with a friend of mine, and it's so lovely. And they were just saying, they don't speak up a lot, things that their wife is doing or say. And let me just say this, gentlemen, it's always good to have your sister friends that are women of God. We need each other because we're the gift. We're both the gift. And I love it when you have male friends, female friends, and you can call upon wisdom or spiritual coaches and to ask to say, hey, what do you think about this? And my whole thing is, and when I was sharing with my friend, I asked him, have you spoken your truth? You need to position yourself and to go back to your wife and speak your truth before you make a move. Because see, this is what happened, gentlemen and kings and queens. Then you get upset and then you start talking, and it's like, you have these stories that you've made up in your mind about you think this person is or their behavior. And it's not even so because you haven't even allowed them a case to speak up. But it's because you haven't spoken up. So men, speak your truth, and women, speak your truth. It's the same thing. Don't hide. I had a friend of mine that, years ago was in a relationship. All of a sudden, his wife started speaking up, and then things started happening. And it's like, it can go both ways. We both need to speak our truth. And I think that you can be so well respected when you do that. What do you say about that, Lauren?
Let me get to these brothers together right quick. When you speak your truth, and you are not afraid and not ashamed, and you're not trying to hurt her, she will respect you, and baby, and I mean baby, she will love you on another level. And I'm gonna leave it right there.
You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right, because we are looking for that. We're looking for that guidance. We really are, gentlemen. We really are. Lawrence, it is always a pleasure. And we did this exactly again under 1 hour. We can go on and on and on. Are there any last words you would like to leave with the audience? Any last 3 gems that you have learned that can help women, men in pillow talk, or that you would like to share before we end the show?
One of the biggest things that you can do in this whole conversation, and we sort of been right there in it right there, speak and live in your truth. Be honest with yourself first, because everything else is just an illusion. When you're honest with who you are, then you begin to attract people who are honest with you and who can honestly accept you. And that's where you want to be. Many times we have fake people because we have been fake ourselves. So with that being said, be honest with yourself first.
I love it. And I'll just add, be authentic, because authenticity is consistent. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Lawrence, again for being an amazing guest on my show. And how can people follow you? Would you like to leave your information again?
Yes. You can find me on all social media platforms. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Lawrence D. Adams. All social media platforms, Lawrence D. Adams. That's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I'm all on all those social media platforms. If you need to get in touch with me, go to Instagram and hit the link in the bio, and it has a way to get directly in contact with me, and we can have a conversation. Thank you so much for having me on. It's always a pleasure. Great conversation, great revelation that comes out. I appreciate it so much.
Well, we're still looking for you to come to the Bay Area.
Oh, yeah, I got to come to the Bay.
You got to come to the Bay. Definitely look out for Lawrence D. Adams. He is coming to the Bay. Even if he has to come out to be a guest at my retreat that I'm having in the Napa Valley. Lawrence, I'm having my retreat in the Napa Valley for women. And I might end the last day with women and men actually and fly you out to that, because it is going to be amazing.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing to do that.
So you guys, I'm Kim Evans. I'm the owner of Too Gorgeous. For those of you who would like to have a discovery call with me, that's how you can reach out to me. My information will be in the show notes. And always, you guys, keep it beautiful, keep it healthy, and always love yourself. Thank you so much for Inspired Conversations. And this is Kim Evans. Thank you again, Lawrence.